The security guard's footsteps echoed behind her as Luna Sterling walked through the gleaming aisles of Prestige Fashion House, one of Manhattan's most exclusive boutiques. But what he didn't know was that the young woman he was following owned the building, the business, and was about to teach everyone a lesson they'd never forget. She moved with quiet confidence through the designer section, her fingers trailing over silk scarves and cashmere coats, completely unaware that her every step was being monitored like she was a criminal instead of a customer. Welcome to Voice of the Black, where we illuminate the stories that reveal both the darkness of prejudice and the light of triumph that follows. Before we dive into this incredible tale of assumptions, power, and the moment when everything changed, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe that respect should be automatic, not earned through displays of wealth, hit that subscribe button and join our community that refuses to let injustice go unnoticed. Luna Sterling pushed through the heavy glass doors of Prestige Fashion House at exactly 2:15 p.m. on a bustling Thursday afternoon in Soho. At 29 years old, she stood 5 feet 6 inches with natural black hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail that highlighted her striking features. Her dark brown eyes held the calm intelligence of someone who had built an empire from nothing, and her smile carried the warmth of someone who remembered where she came from. She wore a simple white t-shirt, well-fitted dark jeans, and clean white sneakers. Nothing flashy, nothing that screamed money. Just the understated style of someone who had nothing to prove to anyone. What the store staff couldn't see was that Luna had started her first business at 16, selling handmade jewelry from her bedroom in Brooklyn. They couldn't see the countless nights she'd spent building her fashion empire, Sterling Enterprises, into one of the most successful privately owned retail companies in the country. They couldn't see the degrees in business and finance that hung on her office wall, or the award she received for her innovative approach to sustainable fashion. All they saw was a young black woman in casual clothes walking into their high-end boutique, and they made their assumptions accordingly. The store itself was a monument to luxury and exclusivity. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting prismatic light across marble floors that gleamed like mirrors. Designer gowns draped mannequins positioned throughout the space like works of art, their price tags hidden, but their cost evident in every hand-sewn detail. The air smelled of expensive perfume and fresh flowers, and everything about the atmosphere whispered that this was a place of the wealthy elite. Luna had come here with a specific purpose. Her company was looking to partner with several high-end boutiques for a new sustainable luxury line, and Prestige Fashion House had been recommended by several industry contacts. She wanted to see their operation firsthand, observe their customer service, and determine whether they shared her values of treating every customer with respect and dignity. What she was about to discover would be far more telling than any business presentation. As she walked deeper into the store, Luna became aware of the attention she was drawing. It started subtly, sideways glances from sales associates, whispered conversations that stopped when she passed, and a general shift in the atmosphere that she had unfortunately experienced many times before. She had learned to read these signs like a weather forecast, predicting the storm of judgment that often followed her presence in certain spaces. The first sales associate she encountered was a tall, blonde woman in her early 30s who wore a perfectly tailored black dress and an expression of barely concealed disdain. Her name tag read Vivian, and she approached Luna with the kind of smile that was technically polite, but somehow managed to convey superiority and skepticism in equal measure. "Good afternoon," Vivian said, her voice carrying the crisp pronunciation of someone who had practiced projecting authority. "Can I help you find something specific today?" Luna returned the smile genuinely. "Hi, I'm just browsing for now, thank you. Beautiful store you have here." Vivian's eyes did a quick scan from Luna's sneakers to her ponytail and back again. "Thank you. I should mention that most of our pieces start around $3,000. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable looking at our accessories section? We have some lovely scarves and jewelry at more accessible price points." The suggestion was delivered with practiced diplomacy, but its meaning was unmistakable. Luna had been sized up and found wanting, deemed unable to afford the store's primary merchandise based on nothing more than her appearance and age. It was a familiar experience, but one that never failed to sting. "I appreciate the suggestion," Luna replied evenly. But I'm actually interested in seeing your evening wear collection. I have an event coming up. Vivian's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. Of course. The evening wear is right this way. Though I should warn you, our formal gowns are quite expensive. The one you're looking at there, she gestured to a stunning black dress nearby, is $8,000. Luna examined the dress with genuine interest, running the fabric between her fingers and checking construction details with the eye of someone who understood quality. It's beautiful work. The beading is hand-sewn, isn't it? Vivian looked surprised by the question. Yes, it is. Are you in fashion? You could say that. Luna replied with a small smile. As Luna continued browsing, she noticed other things that troubled her. A young Latina woman with her teenage daughter was being largely ignored by the sales staff, despite clearly trying to get assistance. An older black gentleman examining suits received dismissive treatment from a male associate who seemed eager to move him along. Meanwhile, white customers received immediate attention, detailed explanations, and the kind of personalized service that Luna had expected from a store with prestigious reputation. The pattern was so consistent that it couldn't be coincidental. This wasn't just about Luna's experience. It was systemic. After 20 minutes of browsing, while being subtly monitored by staff, Luna decided to test the waters further. She approached Vivian again, this time carrying a stunning emerald green gown that cost $12,000, according to its discreetly placed tag. I'd like to try this on, please, Luna said. Vivian's expression shifted to one of barely controlled panic. That particular dress is, well, it's one of our signature pieces. Very expensive. Are you sure you wouldn't prefer to look at something in a lower price range first? I'm sure, Luna said calmly. I'd also like to see it in black if you have it, and perhaps navy blue. Ma'am, Vivian said, her voice taking on a firmer tone, I really think we should discuss your budget before you start trying on our premium pieces. These gowns require special handling, and we prefer to reserve fitting appointments for serious buyers. Luna raised an eyebrow. And how do you determine who's a serious buyer? The question hung in the air for a moment too long, revealing exactly what both women knew to be true. Well, Vivian stammered, it's just that these are significant investments, and we want to make sure we're using our time efficiently. I understand, Luna said. Perhaps I should speak to your manager about your store's policies regarding fitting appointments. Vivian's face went pale. That's not necessary. I can get you a fitting room. But as Vivian reluctantly led Luna toward the back of the store, Luna noticed something that made her stop in her tracks. A security guard, a large man in his 40s with a kind of build that suggested military or police background, was following them at a discreet distance. When Luna paused to examine another dress, he paused too. When she moved, he moved. She was being followed. In a store where she was a potential customer, carrying merchandise worth thousands of dollars, she was being treated like a shoplifter. Luna felt a familiar heat of anger rising in her chest, but she had learned long ago to channel that emotion into something more productive. Instead of confronting the situation immediately, she decided to gather more evidence. Actually, she told Vivian, I think I'd like to look around a bit more before trying anything on. For the next 15 minutes, Luna conducted an experiment. She wandered through different sections of the store, occasionally picking up items and examining them closely. Without fail, the security guard followed her every move. When she stopped to look at handbags, he positioned himself nearby. When she moved to the shoe section, he relocated accordingly. When she spent time examining a display of jewelry, he found a reason to organize something in her direct line of sight. The behavior was so obvious that other customers began to notice. A middle-aged white woman shopping with her daughter glanced between Luna and the guard with obvious confusion. A young couple whispered to each other, while clearly discussing what they were witnessing. Luna pulled out her phone and discreetly began recording, capturing the guard's movements as she walked through the store. She also documented the different treatment she witnessed other customers receiving. The warm welcomes, the immediate assistance, the respectful attention that seemed to correlate directly with the perceived wealth and race of the shoppers. When she had gathered enough evidence, Luna decided it was time to escalate the situation. She approached the security guard directly, her phone still recording. "Excuse me," she said politely. "I've noticed you've been following me around the store for the past 20 minutes. Is there something I can help you with?" The guard looked uncomfortable, but tried to maintain his authoritative demeanor. "Ma'am, I'm just doing my job, making sure all customers are safe and merchandise is secure." "I see," Luna replied. "Do you follow all customers this closely, or am I special for some reason?" The guard's jaw tightened. "I follow my training and use my professional judgment." "And your professional judgment told you that I pose particular risk?" "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to lower your voice and stop being disruptive." Luna's voice had been perfectly calm and quiet, but she recognized the tactic, escalating the situation to justify a more aggressive intervention. "I haven't raised my voice or been disruptive," she said evenly. "I've been shopping quietly while being followed by security. I'd like to speak to your manager about your store surveillance policies." By now, their conversation had attracted significant attention. Other customers had stopped shopping to watch the exchange. Several had their phones out, and sales associates were gathering at a safe distance like spectators at an accident. The guard spoke into his radio. "Need management on the floor. Possible situation developing." Within minutes, a woman in her 50s appeared from the back of the store. She was impeccably dressed in a navy suit, with perfectly styled silver hair, and the kind of confident bearing that spoke of years in retail management. Her name tag identified her as Margaret Wells, store manager. "What seems to be the problem here?" Margaret asked, her voice carrying the practiced authority of someone used to de-escalating difficult situations. Luna turned to face her, maintaining her calm demeanor. "I've been shopping in your store for about 30 minutes, and your security guard has been following me the entire time. I'm trying to understand your policies regarding customer surveillance." Margaret glanced at the security guard, who avoided her eyes. "I'm sure there's been some misunderstanding. Marcus, perhaps you could explain your actions?" Marcus, the security guard, cleared his throat. "Just standard procedures, ma'am. Keeping an eye on the floor, making sure everything's secure." "Do you typically follow individual customers throughout their entire shopping experience?" Luna asked Margaret directly. Margaret looked uncomfortable. "Our security protocols are designed to protect both our customers and our merchandise. If Marcus felt additional oversight was necessary." "Based on what?" Luna interrupted gently. "I haven't touched anything inappropriately, haven't acted suspiciously, haven't done anything except shop quietly while being treated like a criminal. I'm curious what specific behavior triggered this level of surveillance." The silence that followed was telling. Margaret knew exactly what had happened, but admitting it would open the store to legal liability and public relations disaster. "Perhaps we could discuss this privately in my office," Margaret suggested. "I think we should discuss it right here," Luna replied. "Since the surveillance was public, the explanation should be public too." More customers had gathered now, forming a loose circle around the confrontation. Luna could see phones recording from multiple angles, and she knew that whatever happened next would likely end up on social media within hours. "Ma'am," Margaret said, her voice taking on a firmer tone, "I'm trying to handle the situation professionally. If you'd prefer to involve the police." It was a threat, thinly veiled but unmistakable. Luna felt a familiar chill at the mention of police. She had seen too many situations where calling law enforcement on black customers had escalated beyond anyone's control. But Luna also knew something that Margaret didn't. She knew exactly who she was dealing with, and she knew it was time to turn the tables. Luna reached into her purse and pulled out her phone, scrolling to a specific contact. "Actually, Margaret, I think that's an excellent idea. I think we should definitely involve some authorities in this conversation." She pressed dial and waited for the call to connect. "Hi, David," she said when someone answered. "It's Luna." I'm at the Prestige Fashion House location in Soho, and I need you to send someone down here immediately. Yes, that's right. No, I'm fine, but we have a significant problem that needs to be addressed. Okay, see you in 10 minutes. Margaret looked confused. Who did you just call? Luna smiled, and for the first time since entering the store, it wasn't entirely friendly. My lawyer, David Morrison from Morrison, Klein & Associates. He specializes in civil rights law and retail discrimination cases. The color began to drain from Margaret's face. Ma'am, I don't think that's necessary. Oh, but I do think it's necessary, Luna replied. See, I've been recording my entire experience in your store today. I have footage of your security guard following me, audio of your sales associate steer me away from expensive merchandise based on my appearance, and video of the different treatment I've witnessed other customers receiving based on their race. Margaret's expression shifted from confusion to alarm. I'm sure we can resolve this without involving lawyers. Actually, Luna continued, pulling out a business card, I don't think you understand who you're dealing with. My name is Luna Sterling, and I'm the CEO and founder of Sterling Enterprises. Margaret took the business card with trembling hands, her eyes widening as she read it. Sterling Enterprises owns 47 retail locations across the country. Luna continued conversationally. We were actually considering Prestige Fashion House as a potential partner for our new sustainable luxury line. In fact, that's why I'm here today, to evaluate your operation and see if you share a commitment to treating every customer with respect and dignity. The silence that followed was deafening. Margaret stared at the business card like it might burst into flames. Marcus, the security guard, had gone completely pale. Vivian, who had been watching from a distance, looked like she might faint. As you can imagine, Luna continued, what I've witnessed today has been very educational. I've seen firsthand how your store treats customers who don't immediately appear wealthy or important. I've experienced racial profiling from your security team and discriminatory behavior from your sales staff. Margaret found her voice, though it came out as barely more than a whisper. Ms. Sterling, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Has there? Luna asked, because it seems quite clear to me. Your staff made assumptions about me based on my appearance and age, treated me like a potential criminal, and provided substandard service compared to other customers. That's not a misunderstanding. That's discrimination. By now, the entire store had effectively stopped functioning. Every customer and employee was focused on the conversation unfolding in the center of the sales floor. Phones were recording from every angle, and Luna knew that this story would be viral within hours. Ms. Sterling, Margaret said desperately, please, let's discuss this privately. I'm sure we can work something out. Work what out? Luna asked. You want to work out how to cover up the fact that your store discriminates against black customers? You want to work out how to make me forget that I was followed around like a criminal while trying to shop? Margaret looked around at all the recording phones and seemed to realize that damage control was no longer possible. What would you like us to do? Luna considered the question carefully. She could demand apologies, insist on policy changes, threaten lawsuits, or simply leave and never return. But she also saw an opportunity to create something bigger than personal vindication. Here's what's going to happen, she said, her voice carrying the authority of someone used to making decisions that affected hundreds of employees and millions of dollars in revenue. First, you're going to provide sensitivity training for your entire staff about unconscious bias and respectful customer service. Second, you're going to review your security protocols to ensure they're applied equally to all customers regardless of race or appearance. Third, you're going to publicly acknowledge what happened here today and commit to doing better. Margaret nodded frantically. Yes, absolutely. Whatever you need. But most importantly, Luna continued, you're going to remember that every person who walks through your doors deserves respect. Not because of what they're wearing, not because of how much money you think they have, but because they're human beings. Just then, The store's front door opened and a tall, distinguished black man in an expensive suit entered. He scanned the crowd until he spotted Luna, then walked purposefully toward her. "David," Luna said as he approached. "Thank you for coming so quickly." David Morrison looked around at the gathered crowd, the recording phones and the panicked expressions on the store staff's faces. "Luna, what exactly happened here?" "I was shopping for a dress and ended up getting a masterclass in retail discrimination instead," Luna replied. "It's all documented." David nodded, his expression grim. "Margaret Wells, I presume?" he said, turning to the store manager. "I'm David Morrison, Miss Sterling's attorney. We need to discuss your store's policies and practices." Margaret looked like she was about to cry. "Mr. Morrison, we're committed to making this right." "I'm sure you are," David replied dryly. Now, as David and Margaret began discussing the legal implications of what had transpired, Luna noticed something happening around her. Several customers approached to express their support and share their own experiences with discrimination in retail stores. A young Latina woman thanked her for speaking up, saying she'd experienced similar treatment in upscale stores. An older black man shook her hand and said he was proud to see someone standing up for dignity and respect. But the interaction that meant the most came from a teenage girl who had been shopping with her mother. She was mixed race, maybe 16 or 17, and she approached Luna with obvious nervousness. "Excuse me," the girl said quietly. "I just want to say thank you for what you did. I've been in situations like that before, and I never knew how to respond. Watching you handle it with such class and strength, it showed me what's possible." Luna smiled warmly. "What's your name?" "Maya." "Maya, remember this. You never have to accept being treated as less than you are. You have every right to demand respect, whether you're shopping, working, or just existing in the world. Don't let anyone make you feel like you don't belong." Maya nodded, tears in her eyes. "I won't forget." An hour later, after statements have been given, policies have been discussed, and commitments have been made, Luna finally left Prestige Fashion House. She walked out empty-handed in terms of merchandise, but carrying something far more valuable: the knowledge that she had stood up not just for herself, but for every person who had ever been followed, profiled, or discriminated against while simply trying to shop. The video of the confrontation was posted online that evening and went viral within hours. Hashtag Respect for All began trending, with thousands of people sharing their own experiences with retail discrimination. Major news outlets picked up the story, and Luna found herself thrust into the spotlight as an advocate for equal treatment in customer service. Prestige Fashion House, to their credit, followed through on their commitments. They implemented comprehensive staff training, revised their security protocols, and published a public apology acknowledging the discrimination Luna had experienced. Sales associates who had demonstrated bias were required to complete additional education or face termination. But the real change happened in the stories that emerged after Luna's experience went public. Customers began speaking up about discriminatory treatment. Retailers started examining their own policies, and a national conversation began about unconscious bias in customer service. 6 months later, Luna received an invitation to speak at a national retail conference about creating inclusive shopping experiences. Her presentation was titled Respect as a Business Strategy, and it focused on how treating all customers with dignity wasn't just the right thing to do. It was good business. A year after the incident, Prestige Fashion House had become one of the most diverse and inclusive high-end retailers in the city. Their staff reflected the diversity of their customer base. Their training programs were considered industry-leading, and their sales had actually increased as word spread about their commitment to respectful service. Luna never did partner with them on her sustainable luxury line. She decided to work with retailers who had demonstrated their commitment to equality from the beginning, rather than those who had to be forced into it. But she did return to the store once, 6 months later, to see how they had changed. The difference was remarkable. The staff was diverse. The service was consistently respectful regardless of customer appearance, and the atmosphere felt welcoming rather than exclusionary. When Luna identified herself, the new manager, Margaret had been transferred to a corporate training role, thanked her personally for the wake-up call that had transformed their business. "You could have destroyed us," the new manager said. "Instead, you helped us become better." That took incredible grace. Luna smiled. Everyone deserves a chance to grow and improve. The question is whether they're willing to do the work. The incident at Prestige Fashion House became a case study in business schools and diversity training programs across the country. It demonstrated how one person's refusal to accept discriminatory treatment could catalyze systemic change, and how businesses that embraced that change could thrive. But for Luna, the most important outcome wasn't the policy changes or the media attention, or even the business improvements. It was a message from Maya, the teenage girl who had watched the confrontation unfold, sent 6 months later. "Ms. Sterling, I wanted to let you know that I got into Howard University with a full scholarship. I'm going to study business, and someday I want to build a company like yours, one that stands for something important. Thank you for showing me what courage looks like." Luna kept that message on her desk as a reminder that the real power of standing up to injustice isn't just an immediate victory. It's inspiring the next generation to demand better, to expect more, and to never accept being treated as less than they are. Sometimes the most important shopping trip isn't about what you buy. It's about what you refuse to accept.